Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. So, what's new? Well, I'll tell you what's new on my side. Some of you know already about this, but I'm on the hunting. I'm looking for a property to buy in Europe, and it's gonna be, looks like in Italy. That will be big enough to hold meditation retreats. So I keep you up to date. Right now, I'm literally tomorrow, next week, I'll be on the road going to look at different properties and see if there's anything that wants to manifest that would fit the purpose. But I keep you up to date because if it happens, then you can come visit. And there will be both retreats, that might last a few days, a few weeks, maybe a few months, who knows? But also people can just come and visit and stay as long as they want and meditate together and have some good meal, go in nature and take walks, or you can play tourist or whatever you want to do. So it's exciting. I'll let you know how it unfolds. So this is the news on my side. Buddha is happy. Good. So what did I want to talk about today? Yes. There is something that happens. It's a pitfall. It becomes an obstacle on the path of a meditator. But something that happens very frequently to all of us, including me. Otherwise, I couldn't talk about it. Yeah, I try always to share what's also my experience. And this pitfall is an idea or an attitude that the mind is our, quote, enemy. The mind is the bad guy, suddenly, Oh, that stupid mind doesn't shut up 1 second, I want to get rid of it so I can be in peace and rest into this beautiful, peaceful, meditative space, right? Now, this is, again, the mind talking about the mind. So be careful, because who makes the mind the villain suddenly and the enemy is the mind itself, is the egoic mind that is acquiring a spiritual mentality, let's call it, yeah? A spiritual attitude towards our practice. So because Shastro and everybody else and you know yourself how busy your mind is, and we're all talking about how to rest in a space of no mind, then obviously that becomes a goal. And whatever is between us and the goal is an obstacle. So if the goal is resting in a space of no mind, and the obstacle is the mind, then obviously the mind is the enemy, it's the villain, isn't it? That's how it goes. So, of course, best thing is removing the goal, first of all. And this we said it a few times. They try to remove this goal-oriented attitude that we have with everything. It's again part of the mind. It includes the future, it includes not being in the present. Because having a goal means, okay, if the goal was here in the present, it wouldn't be a goal, right? It's already here. What goal is it? A goal has to be somewhere else, not here. So it has to be in the future. So first of all, bring a deep understanding that our practice is not about reaching a goal. It's about observing what is in this present moment. Huge difference, huge. Because one is horizontal in time, future and past, the horizontal dimension. The other one is in the vertical dimension, the present moment, where everything can happen, growth can happen, understanding can happen, peace can happen, bliss can happen. Anything happens in the present moment. So, removing the goal-oriented idea that we're here to practice to reach something, it's the biggest pitfall, and the first one and the biggest. It will hinder your practice. It will not go any deeper than you are now, unless you remove that idea. So understand, our practice means being completely present in this moment, observing what arises within our consciousness. The whole spectrum of experiences from, we talked about the anchors and all that already, but from body experience, body sensation, perception, all kinds of perceptions through the senses, inner sensing and outer sensing, all thoughts or emotions, feelings, moods that arise, all those are experiences, yeah? So we observe all these experiences, whatever they are, that are happening in this moment. Of course, part of this experience will be observing the mind that is going in the future that has a goal. Fine. Then you watch and you catch that. Beautiful. That's what you need to do. Observation brings understanding. Understanding brings freedom. So observing the mind, allow me to understand, oh, look at that, moving out of the present again, going in the future and into a goal, trying to find peace in the future or whatever, trying to be enlightened one day, whatever it is. See that, understand what's happening, understand how the mind functions. That is our work. That's part of our work. But if I make the mind the villain, and it's like when I see a thought, that is moving into the future, I go like, oh no, shit, again, the mind, I was lost again, I moved again from the present moment. Fuck, I'll never get it. How many years do I have to sit to be able to be quiet? And being the whip is out and the inner judge keeps whipping you, you're going really astray there. You're leaking a lot of energy through your self-judgment, which is obviously in your egoic mind. So I would like you to try to make the mind a friend, not an enemy. So that when you see that thought, instead of going, oh no, shit, again, the mind is going away, you go like, oh, let me see. What is it doing in the mind? There's a thought about, one day wanting to one day reach a certain state or whatever it is. No, you observe that. But then that sense that is not an enemy, you don't go like this. You go like you go like this. Let me see. Let me look at it better. Yeah, different. You don't try to avoid it and push it away. You look at it directly in the face. Because it's not an enemy, it's a friend. That allows you to understand what's happening better, to understand the mechanism of the mind. Because if you keep judging it and trying to push it aside, you'll never get to know it. And as my master said, unless you know it in its entirety, you'll never be able to drop it. Yeah. So be inquisitive, be curious, but be friendly in your attitude. Don't create enemies inside of you. Whatever you do, please, please don't create enemies. That's what we do. We are our best friends. I feel like crying as I say this. But that's just let it sink in your heart. You are your best friend. There's no enemy inside. So feel this. There is no enemy. There's nothing wrong with you. You are in the same boat that everybody else is in. So you are human. You have a human mind. It's okay. It's needed. You wouldn't function in the world without a mind. Don't make an enemy out of it. Don't beat yourself up because you think a lot. That's not the right attitude. It's a black hole. When you go there, it's a black hole. You don't go anywhere. You're in a loop. Love towards yourself will take you out of the loop. And towards yourself, I mean towards whatever arises within you, any experience. Beautiful or ugly, however you want to judge it, it's accepted with friendliness and observed with the same attitude and understood with the same attitude. I was talking the other day with a friend, and she's also an old practitioner, she's been meditating for many years. She's also very strong intellectual. She has a sharp intellectual mind, very cultured. We were talking, I don't know about what, and at a certain point she said, we were talking about the mind, and I was telling her about something that is happening with my mind. And she said, yeah, because the mind is trying to protect you. And I was like, what? It really hit me, this sentence. The mind is trying to protect you. And I said, is that so? It really started an inquiry inside of myself. So for the next couple of days, I watched, all the thoughts that were arising. What were they about? And 90% of them were about the mind trying to protect me. If I really looked deeply into it, it was true. You can watch it in yourself in the next days. Watch what is that particular thought that you catch in that moment. What is it doing and why? And you will notice that there is something that the mind is trying to prepare for you or imagine for you or think about that will bring some kind of advantage to you or help you in something in his own ways. It doesn't mean it's going to work, but that's what he's trying to do. That's a mechanism. That mind is a mechanism. How did it develop? Let's go back 20,000 years. Whoa, dude. Talk about the past. Only not yesterday, just 20,000 years. Let's go back. These guys are coming out of we are coming out of the caves. There is maybe even more than 20,000. I don't know exactly, but let's go back a lot. And there is a very dangerous environment around us, with it was much more dangerous than now because we killed 90% of the animals, but they were like huge tigers, they were mammoth, they were like big guys. Okay. And this little monkey man was like pretty, how to say, it was like a good snack for these guys, We could hardly climb a tree like a real monkey, so let alone how to defend ourselves. But suddenly we realized, wait a second, I can do something here. I can trick this animal that is wanting to kill me. And how am I going to trick it? Well, I have an idea. How about I build like a big trench in front of the cave and I put some pointed spikes. So when the tiger fall in there, it gets killed, for example, So how did I protect myself? Through an idea that came through my mind, right? That's the beginning. That's how deeply rooted is the need that we have for the mind, because that is what allowed us to survive in an environment that otherwise would have been like, you little hairless monkey, you're dead, you're my snack. Okay. And from there, our whole evolution happened because of the mind. Yeah. So imagine how deeply it is ingrained in our DNA that the mind means survival. Yeah. And if we transfer that to nowadays, okay, there is no wild animals, but there's a lot of things that I have to know and that I organize and I have to know how to do to live in this society, for example, How, oh, I need money. Okay. How do I make money so that I can buy my food? You know, let me figure it out. We always use the mind for everything. That's why I said, well, you need your mind. It's a tool. It's a beautiful tool. You know, no other animal has it like we do. Yeah, they have a different mind. Not that theirs is less beautiful, but ours is the most developed in a certain way. Mhm. I mean, for God's sake, we could go to the moon already. We can, you know, create what we are creating through the mind. It's quite amazing. And it's just the beginning. You know, who knows in 1,000 years if we're still alive, if we're still here. It doesn't look like right now, but if we're still here in 1,000 years, we might have created an amazing thing we can't even imagine now. Yeah, through our mind. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I look, you know, I have this beautiful sitar here in my studio, or I have a Diruba. I have a lot of instruments, I have a guitar. Sometimes I look at them and I go like, wow, how, you know, who figured that out? You know? And I look at sitars like, who figured that out? You know, all those frets, and it's like, you know, like 40 different strings tuned in different ways to create this beautiful sound. You know, that's amazing. Well, isn't that created through the mind too? That's creativity expressed, a mind applied in a creative way. Of course, you can apply it in a negative way, build a bomb, or you can apply it in a creative way and create a sitar far out. It's up to us how we apply that, right? So we can create beautiful, incredible things through the mind. So what's the problem? The problem is, it's just not a problem. Wait, remove problem word. I don't like it. So this mind, it's a wonderful tool for all that is concerned surviving and creating too. But when we go in the inner world, not in the outer world, in the inner world, the mind has no function. It is not made to penetrate consciousness or to perceive or to understand or to perceive consciousness. It's made to function in the world. From digging that ditch for the tiger onward to going to the moon or whatever. It's all outer world. And because to function in the outer world, the mind had to create also time, you know. So I'm planning to dig a ditch because in case tomorrow, future, a tiger comes, you know, it will fall in the ditch. And then it's gonna die, and I'm gonna cut it, take the skin off and eat it. Yeah, I'm planning that. Mind needs past and future to figure out things. But when we go inward, there is no need for the mind. It's not the mind that is observing. It's not the mind that is aware. It's our consciousness. It's awareness itself is not the mind. Awareness itself is a quality that is there when we are not thinking anything, not doing anything. And what is left is just a presence and awareness, consciousness, whatever we want to call it. It can also be there while we do something. It doesn't mean that you have to stop doing everything, but I'm just to make it easier for you. Stop doing anything inside and outside, including thinking, and watch what is left. Your presence, right? You're still aware. You are aware that you're not thinking, for example. You're aware that you're not doing anything, right? You're aware that you feel suddenly very peaceful. Or you're aware that suddenly there is a thought that contains some worrying arising, and suddenly you feel something in your chest. That's awareness, right? That awareness is not the mind, obviously. So the mind is not needed to move inward, only that awareness is needed, which is what we also call the witness in self. There's nothing to do with the thinking mind, with the egoic mind. On the contrary, when that inner space is crowded by a lot of thoughts, we are not able to be present with that awareness because thoughts, as we know, they move from past to future. And so, because there is no stop button, we know that just observing it is enough. That's all we can do. So bring awareness to that thinking mind when it happens. And then you will see that it releases itself because there is a separation between the mind and awareness. So, again, repeating myself, but what propels the mind is my identification with it. So if I'm worried about something and I catch that thought that I just mentioned before that contains a worrying, and I go into it, oh God, yeah, oh my God, that is going to happen. And then wait a second, how am I going to avoid that? Or how am I going to organize it? Or what should I do? Blah, 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 blah. No, you're involved and identify with that thought. That thought keeps going, right? Until either it ends by itself for whatever reason, because a thought has a period where a lifetime where it arises, it exists, and then it fades and goes away because it completed itself sometime. Fine. Or because in the middle of it, you go like, pop, it's like you pop out of it. You literally pop out of the thought. Your awareness separates and you go like, wow, look at this. My God, I was lost in this thought. And let me see, what was it about? Oh yeah, okay. Do I need it right now? No. So that thought goes like poof. It disappears like a little clouds that dissolves because I separated from it. So I remove the fuel. That's it. That's all we can do. So, and then we go back to awareness or a space of no mind because the thought has ended before another one starts. There is space. In that space, there is only presence. There is our true self, which is connected with everything, with existence itself. It's part of it. And the mind is not. The mind is man-created. Yeah, it's a phenomenon that a mechanism that we developed and create from birth onwards. That has nothing to do with existence and with the source and with the divine or whatever you want to call it. Our true self, or that presence, that awareness that is there between two thoughts, that space of that conscious space that is there is part of existence. It's definitely part of existence. That we came with that into the world. It's not our creation. That it's part of this divine project, divine experiment that we are. So there's a body, there's a mind, and there's a consciousness. Or call it soul, call it spirit, whatever you want. Three obvious elements, right? Body, mind, spirit. So if I live my whole life in the mind, yeah, a lot of people do. It's a choice. You can do that. It's not going to take you anywhere, but you live your life and then it's over. If I live my life only in the body, okay, you can do that too. Many people do that. But I knew when I was 6 years old and I became aware that the body was going to die, I knew from that moment on, I was like, this is not enough for me. You know, if this body is going to die, I know there's something else that I'm missing here. Yeah. And I'm sure many of you have the same feeling. It's not really a thought. It's like a feeling in your heart. There is something more. There's something more than just the mind and just the body. That more is that third element, which is who you are actually. Funny, huh? How we got identified with the other two and we forgot the real one. We so get identified with the mind, we so get identified with the body, but we don't get identified with the consciousness that inhabits this body. It's funny, isn't it? So that's our practice. It's like, okay, how am I going to go back to what is real and use the body? Body is beautiful, like the mind is beautiful, you know, beautiful gifts. But I want to put everything in the right perspective. I want to sit on the driver's seat, which is in the consciousness seat. That's who I want to be, who I want to live like. I want to live like the driver, not be driven by the mind. I want to choose the road myself, not let my mind choose my path, but I want to choose it every moment. So to bring it back to the beginning, if you have though an attitude of enmity towards your mind or your body, it's not going to help you to get disidentified from them, because again, it's the mind itself that is judging itself. So it's the snake that bites his own tail. It's endless. You're not going to get out. What we can do through practice is disidentify from the mind. It's not that the mind will disappear, thank God, because, you know, even if you become enlightened, that I don't know, because I'm not enlightened, so I cannot tell you much about it. But from what somebody told me, I trust on somebody else's experience. You know, Osho used to say, well, look, the only difference is, he would say, I'm here now talking to you guys. I'm using my mind, you know, beautiful. I can talk and tell you all the things that I need to share with you. Then I go back to my room, you know, my bedroom, he said. I walk into the room, I switch the mind off. And it's just silence and presence and, you know, peace and bliss, whatever it is. That's the only difference between me and you, he would say. I am not identified with the mind, so I'm able to use it. It's a beautiful tool, but I'm able to switch it on and off. So when I need it, I switch it on. When I don't need it, I switch it off. It's not going anywhere. And as I said, luckily it doesn't go anywhere because we need it to live. We need to communicate it. We need to relate to people. We need to function in the world. We need to do things. You know, so many things we need the mind for, but not to go inward. Yeah. So it's a friend that we can use when we need it, but we don't want to invade our space, our inner space, when we don't need it. So our practice will bring us to disidentify from this egoic self that is the motor, the engine of this mind. And that can happen only through a friendly, deep observation. Yeah. So, shall we practice that observation now together? Yeah. So find a comfortable position to sit. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Closing your eyes and bringing the attention inward. Knowing that you have this time to just be here, just relax. Be with yourself. This is a time for yourself. Intimate time with yourself. Feel your body from inside. Let it relax. Watch if there is any area that carries a little tension. Bring your awareness there and see if you can let it go. Release it. Always start from the body. The body is always in the present. Anchor yourself through the body to the present moment. Feel it. Relax all parts that are still holding. And through that, you'll become more aware of the weight of the body as well. Sitting on a cushion, feeling the weight as the earth is pulling on your body, pulling towards itself. Let yourself fall, let yourself go, let your body go towards the earth in a relaxed way. Yet without collapsing, because we also perceive the sky energy, which is also pulling very gently from the top of the head upwards. Helping us to have an aligned neck and spine. And without losing the connection with the earth, especially with the lower part of the body, very grounded. Letting your belly relaxed, also fall towards the earth, your belly and your diaphragm. relaxing and connecting to earth. You might want to breathe in the belly a little more by relaxing the diaphragm, and in this way helping the belly to relax. When we breathe in the belly, it's like we give an internal massage to that whole area, to the hara area. Imagine every in-breath and out-breath is like a massage stroke that helps it to relax. In this way, you are more and more rooted into the earth. Your body is part of the earth, and yet connected also to the sky through the higher center in the head. And we sit in a balance between these two energies. This balance gives us a conscious state of presence, relaxed, grounded, yet present and awake. That allow us to observe anything that is arising within our inner space, any sensation, any perception. We can perceive the movement of the breathing. We perceive sounds. We perceive silence. We are simply aware of all this, aware of all these experiences. We rest in that awareness. Remembering that we're not going anywhere, we're not trying to achieve anything, simply resting in this moment for what it is, allowing to be what is in all its perceptions, manifestations, experiences. Sometimes the inner space is rich with an experience, sometimes it's empty of everything. Or better say, it's full with just a sense of presence. Both are good, both are fine. We have no preference. We observe one or the other in friendliness, in love, in acceptance. Slowly coming back to the group. And we open the space if anybody wants to share something or has a question, anything. If you can still talk after this deep sitting. Takes a little while for the brain to start working properly again. There's no hurry. Take your time. And this is a beautiful sharing too, isn't it? Mhm. Yes, Rafa. Rafa.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I was observing how much my mind is protecting me from feel sadness and tiredness.
Sadness
And
and sadness and
sadness and tired, stankica.
tiredness.
Stankica?
Yeah,
Yeah.
tiredness.
And
So your mind doesn't want you to feel tired?
no, but I'm my mind was working to look what solution we can find, and if I stop it, I feel how much I'm tired and how much I'm sad and how much my passion are tired and how much my passion are sad and
yes.
something like this. Something like heaviness and like a milk glass, that I'm sensing around me. I'm sensing Frankfurt. People are not outside and laughing. People are with a mask and are sad.
Heavy, yes, sad and heavy.
And I'm sensing it. I'm feeling it, and I feel how I'm protecting me closeness. That's let me feel tired. And if I open this, it's a lot of sadness and solitude, so no connection.
Yes.
And I was feeling then love, accepting it from me, and I was feeling also
accepting what?
This feeling, embracing
the feeling of
sadness, being tired,
yes,
being and it was good because I was feeling connected. And then it was me clear that was very important for me to feel how all the people are not with me only connected, that make me tired, but they are connected also with their life
Mm-hmm.
or the source, and it's their responsibility. It's their
Uh-huh.
time.
Okay.
But yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting this, because I think a lot of people can experience something similar, which is the perception of the what I call the collective subconscious, which right now, especially in the cities and especially in the countries that have like still enforcing lockdowns or this limitations that are in brackets completely useless, and but they are creating a dysfunctional society, even more dysfunctional than before. Yeah, and where everybody is so isolated, you know, we're losing the sociality, the connection between ourselves, between people, you know, the friendliness, the social life, you know, what makes us human. So people are, not everybody, but a lot of people, especially in the city, are really buying into this thing, and the feeling very isolated and very more and more heavy. And we're going to have a lot of psychological problem if we continue this way. You know, people are committing suicide. I mean, there is all kind of sicknesses that are coming out of this and will come out for months and years to go if we continue in this way. But so how to deal with it? Because as you said, if you tune into it, you feel it, and it's heavy, a heavy feeling and heavy energy, isn't it? How to share, yet you have to share the same city, the same spaces. You know, you go out on the street and you share that space with everybody. You ever go in a shop, you have to put your mask on and you don't see people smiling anymore or anything like that. And so we, at the same time, we need, so one thing, as you said, embracing, accepting that you feel that sadness, and to perceive that is not even your own sadness, it's the collective. It's a very good thing, because it's a very good place where you separate yourself already. There's like, oh, okay, it's okay that I feel the sadness, and it's also okay that I notice it's not my own. It's true, I feel it, but it's contributed, you know, it's a contribution that comes from the collective subconscious. So it's good to see this, perceive this separation, because then it helps you to set borders, you know, boundaries when you need them. So um, I I live in a more in a countryside, so I don't have this strong resonance around me, luckily. But still, I have to go shopping. I have to go to town. I have to put a mask on to enter the supermarket and buy food. I don't know, maybe in every country it's a little different now, but where I am is still like that. And you know, I feel when I'm inside this shop buying food and seeing people, I just try to be myself, even if I have a mask on, and I don't tune so much into people, to tell you the truth, because I don't want to be part of that energy in a certain way, you know. So I'm aware of what is happening around me. At the same time, I keep myself separate because I am. So it's a fine line where you don't want to deny that you feel what's around you, but also you don't want to take it in as yours. Um, and that applies really to everything we do. It's not only in this time of so-called pandemic, which is not a pandemic, but it's really something that we can apply to all our life, you know. And it's pretty much what my master used to say: I want you to live in the world, but not be part of it. Yeah. So don't go in a cave in the Himalaya for the rest of your life. That's not what you need to do. You need to be in the world, be part of it, but don't belong to it. So that's a fine line. So you are in the world, but you don't allow the world to enter in you. You see? It's a fine line, but big difference. So, but already the awareness that you were describing, if I tune into what's around me, I feel the heaviness and the sadness. That's already very good, because there's already a separation. You already know, oh, I'm perceiving their sadness, not even my own. But you can easily let it in and identify with the sadness and say, oh my God, I feel so sad. I don't know why I feel so depressed and blah, blah, blah. And then you go into a hole. But if you are aware enough that this is coming from the collective, it's wonderful. It's already a separation. So you can perceive it without rejecting it, and yet not become that, and not feel like, well, it's not mine actually. You know, I don't need to take it in. And this applies to everything we do in the world, really. How to be in the world without letting the world inside of us. It's an art. It's an art, but not too difficult. Just a little awareness. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rafa. Good. Brought up a good point. Very actual for everybody, I think. Yeah, I often feel like in the beginning I had a very rebellious spirit, and I mean, we all do. We wouldn't be here otherwise. But with all these restrictions, you know, it's like, oh, fuck the mask. I don't want to wear it. Or I would go in the shop, and I still do. If I have to put it on, I leave my nose out because I feel like I'm not breathing properly. So I just put it here. Okay. Otherwise, they don't let me in, and I need to buy food, you know. But the other day, I was at a counter, at the cheese counter, to buy some cheese, and the girl behind the counter looks at me and says, can you please put your mask on top of your nose? And I'm like, no, no. And she was like, what? What do you mean no? I said, I can't breathe. I feel like I can't breathe, you know, if I put my nose in. So, and she got really offended that I was not doing what she told me to do. She felt very unheard, you know, like not listened to. And then I told her, you know, the only problem is that people listen too much to what the TV and the media are saying. That's the biggest problem we have here. But don't worry, you did your job. I know they told you have to say that to the clients. You know, it was a big supermarket, you know. I know they told you have to do that. Fine, you did it. And doesn't mean I have to do it. So you can relax. You did what you had to do. Now let me do what I need to do, which is breathing properly, you know. So, but she was very offended, and then afterwards, I also felt a little disturbed, like, oh, you know, I felt sorry. She was so young. She was trying to do her best, you know, and doing her job properly and do the right thing, what they told her to do. She was doing it, but this guy was not listening to her, you know, so she was like, hurt. And afterwards, I felt also a little bit disturbed, like, oh, poor girl, you know? And then I felt like, oh, Shastra, you know, what's the point to make a discussion with this little girl about your mouth? Just put it on your nose next time, you know? And that's what I felt, you know? I'm not there. What is going to change if she cannot see what's happening and she believes in the mask, you know, am I going to change her point of view? No. What for? It takes a lot of energy. So then she was hurt. I didn't feel particularly good. I was a little disturbed too. So I was like, what's the point? So yesterday I went back and I was ready. I still had my nose out, but I was ready when I went to the cheese counter to put it on top of my nose. But she was not there. So I couldn't even do it. Somebody else was there that didn't say anything about my nose being out. And plus, it's quite big, so you notice it when it's out of the mask, you know. Look, it's a big nose. Anyway, you know, so we learn to live with people, live through what's happening. That doesn't mean I have to believe what they believe. And yet we have to share space. You know, we live in the same society. And then I have to find a way where I feel like I'm true to myself. At the same time, I don't create an unnecessary conflict within and without. And yeah, it's a fine line, and everyone is finding its own way to deal with it. Yeah. And I really wish for all of you to continue to do what feels right to you and not what you have been told, because what you have been told right now is not to be yourself, not to be free, not to live your life the way you want to live it. And what's the point? What's the point of living if I'm living a life that doesn't bring me any joy or makes me feel depressed? What's the point? So a rebellious spirit is absolutely necessary now more than ever. But then within that, you choose your battles, you know. Obviously, my battles, I realize, is not with the girls at the cheese counter. That's not the battle I want to pick, you know. Poor girl. Doesn't make any sense. So choose your battles and release all the other ones that are not serving the purpose. And find your balance, you know, find your space, find your boundaries. Continue to live your life as you wanted to live it. And, you know, at the moment, worst come to worst, you risk a fine, which you don't pay. At least here in Italy, we just don't pay them because they are unconstitutional. They're based on something that the Italian constitution does not support, is not legal, what they're doing. So the fine, we don't pay them. We contest them or we give them to a lawyer. There are lawyers that are offering their service for free now, really amazing guys. So there are millions of tickets that are not being paid and contested. And continue to live your life, you know, go around and do all the things you need to do. Don't wear a mask if you don't feel like, or do wear it when you have to, because you have to buy food, for example. But try to release the thought that you're not free, because that's what they are trying to create right now. So you are not free as long as you believe and think that you are not. Release that thought too, and live your life, continue to live your life as you want to live it. And don't listen to anybody else that is trying to tell you how to live your life. Because if we wait somebody else to give us permission to live our life, right now we're gonna wait for a long time, if ever. It's never gonna happen. So you have to take it in your hands. You have to take it in your hands, no doubts. But pick your battles. so that you don't waste energy, you know. Yeah. It's an interesting time. It's a very good time. I mean, for what is, you know, sad and depressing for many people, I'm aware of that. But for people that have a certain awareness of what is happening, they can see behind the veil of what the medias are pushing and proposing, which is totally BS, stands for bullshit. Anybody that has enough awareness to see through that BS, you will not fall into the trap. You know, you, as I said, you realize, wait a second, who are these four idiots of the government or running it, the media's network to tell me what's happening and to tell me what to do, to tell me who I am? It's like, are you kidding me? No way. So we see what's going on. It's fine. We play the game. When there are obstacles, we go around, find a way to go around or over. Just find a way to keep living your life as much as you can, the way you want to live it. Yes, very important, because they have power. They have only the power that we give them. So if people keep doing what they tell you to do, what they tell them to do, well, that's their power. If everybody goes like, oh, you know what, I just keep living my life, I'm not going to listen to you, then they have no power. So that's what we need to do right now. And I don't want to go too deep into this because I think I already talked about it. You know, I'm not denying that there is this poor little virus that isn't, but it's not a pandemic. You know, it's just something that has been instrumentalized and used for political purposes, financial, political, to gain more control on populations, to gain more control on finances, to gain more control on our life, on our bodies. So they all, now it's like a medical dictatorship. They're using medicine, you know. A year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago was the terrorist. You know, it doesn't matter. Now it's the virus. So tomorrow is going to be something else. It's the same game repeated with a different mask on, different clothes. How to keep the population in fear, because only people that are in fear can be controlled. You know, happy people, blissful people cannot be controlled. They don't give a shit. It's like, dude, I'm not coming in that black hole with you. I'm going for the light. I'm living my life in joy and love and friendliness, compassion. I'm not interested in anything else. I'm not interested to live in fear. And so instrumentalizing the fear of death, no? If it's a terrorist killing you or if a virus killing you, it's the same. It's the fear of death, which is the oldest atavic fear that people that have the power, they always play into, because they know everybody has that fear. So they trigger it one way or another, you know. One year is through terrorist attacks that were actually created and planned by the people that are pulling the threads. And another year, like now, it's the virus, very dangerous pandemic. And then people wonder, but how can it be all over the world? Well, I'll show you a graphic that shows that the whole media are in the hands of 6 different groups, 6 of the whole world. Out of 6, it branches in, you know, 60 out of 60 branches into 600, out of 600 into 20,000, but they all have to have control by 6 financial groups. All the media of the world will accept the alternative one, let's say the one you find on sometime on YouTube when they're not censored, or they have their own website, or they have their own independent channels, which yeah, a lot of people are organizing themselves, so because they keep getting censored. So there's a lot of independent that are actually accessible. You just have to find the right channels if you want to have news that are not biased. It's an interesting time because it put us in front of a choice. It's like, am I going to listen to somebody else, or am I going to listen to myself? Am I finding my truth, or am I taking the truth that somebody else is giving me? This is empowering people. This is not a bad time. This is a precious time. Precious time for anybody that wants to grow, that wants to flower into who they are. Because you're faced with always, constantly now, with a choice. Listen to yourself or listen to the society, to the system. It's up to you. And it's not it's always easy choice. So it requires some work, which is good. All this will help us, is helping us to make us individuals. So you, through this work, you're crystallizing yourself. You're becoming more an individual and less part of a big system, you know, where the individual doesn't exist anymore. It's just a mass. There's a crowd of people. So now you have a choice to not be part of that crowd, not be part of that society that does not represent you anymore in any way, you know? Do you want to live like that? Do you feel represented by what they're proposing? No, of course not. So what a freedom we have. We can choose to be ourselves. And that's why I said this situation is helping us to become individuals and not just a pawn in the game of chess. It's good. It's very good what's happening. Oh, Rafa, see what happened? Did you see, Rafa, what you triggered? I was not going to talk about this. It's all your fault. No, it's all good. These things needs to be said. If I don't say them, who's going to say them? You're not going to see somebody telling that on the news, your news channel, on national TV, that's for sure. Okay, but I don't want to say more about this now. Just you tell me something else. I mean, I can say more about it if you have a question about this, but it doesn't have to be. How's it going? Aura, how is it going in Auroville? Little, are you still in a little paradise island?
It's become a mask island.
Oh no, you're also getting masked. Oh, welcome to...
People are with.
So yeah, it's okay.
But you know, after this all happened, now we all have Zoom, yeah, and people don't meet each other in person. We all meet.
Oh,
But the funny thing, it's like 100 people live, but as soon as I go on Zoom in front of a unknown group or even a group, in my stomach it goes like. So I start going like. Zoom with the new groups, I'm not able to speak. And even the same thing with my orchestra, I cannot blend in, you know. I in my stomach it just goes like, and then I'm like, deep breathe in and then bam.
so you don't like to be online and relating to people like that. You like to be there in person.
No, yeah. I like relating on Zoom or live. It's not a problem. But the thing is that in my stomach it just goes like some kind of as if somebody just hit me in the bed.
Yeah, it shuts down. So like a cramp in your stomach. Yeah, it ties up.
So when I have to do speaking with an unknown group, as on Zoom,
Oh,
or
I see.
before playing, I'm like boom, and then I go like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no matter how much mandala, it doesn't help still with this.
Yeah, that's interesting, huh? If you watch before that cramp in the stomach happens, there is a thought, a very subtle thought of feeling exposed, not to want to be exposed, not wanting to expose yourself to so many people that many of them you don't even know, because what they're going to think of you and how they're going to react and how you're going to look in front of them. A lot of the time there are these thoughts just before the stomach shutting down, clumping. And again, that is a thought where the mind is trying to protect you. It's like, well, maybe you don't want to expose yourself to these people. Who knows how they're going to react? Who knows how they're going to think of you? What they're going to think of you? So again, it's what we were talking about before. It's a mind trying to protect you from an unknown situation when you're not familiar with. No, it's a new situation. So you wait. You just, stay in your corner and watch. It's safer. It's just interesting to watch all these mechanisms, how they happen, isn't it? And then it doesn't matter. Maybe your stomach will open up or maybe not. But in the meanwhile, you use that opportunity to see something a little more deeply inside of you. What is happening? Why is the stomach getting tense? Let me take a few steps back. What happened? Keep watching. Whatever happens, it's okay. Even if it keeps happening, the stomach is shut down. That's fine. That's not the point. The point is use any opportunity to sharpen your awareness of what is happening inside of you and why it is happening. What are the roots of that shutting down in the stomach? Where does it come from? Yeah, nice. Yeah, everything is an opportunity, basically.
The other day, it was like it was this my monthly 6 days off, yeah. So
Day off.
I was in my cycle, the monthly cycle. So full hormonal cuckoo inside.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's like literally I could see that there was some thought from the mind and then it goes in the heart and it just starts keeping on hurting, no? The heart
Mm.
and is crying.
Yes.
Pain in come, like there was specifically like one thought or two, they were just whoop, go in there, you know, and I'm like, okay, I just cried out, yeah, it was
Wonderful.
nice.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, when you have your moon, I mean, the hormones, to just be aware of what's happening, it's quite fascinating, isn't it? There is so much going on. Your all hormones are like upside down. So, and then to observe how the hormones are affecting the kind of thoughts that you fall into, you know, and then observing how those kind of thoughts are provoking an emotion, you know. So it's like a link, you know, it's a chain process. If you're not aware, you know, you have your moon and you're suddenly in a storm of emotions that you don't know why, what's happening, you know, and leave me alone, or you just whatever, you know. But if you observe like you were doing, it's fantastic. Again, you use that opportunity to be more aware of what's happening. It's not always easy, but you did it, girl. Good on you. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Wonderful. Thank you, Aura, for sharing that. Anything else that wants to be shared before we close? We'll see each other probably, yeah, we'll see each other next Friday, unless I send you a message that I can't, but I should be able to be here. And if not, I will send you a message on Telegram, but I should be here next Friday. Okay. So nice to see you and to be with you and to sit together. Thank you for being present and taking the time to listen to all this stuff that I'm saying. I feel heard, which is good. Namaste, everybody. Kisses and hugs. See you next week. Thank you.